we were talking before we get to the IU thing. We were just talking to Allison Millington about the Super Bowl bid that Indianapolis is going to engage in over the next month. When you went through that, how nerve-wracking was that process? Because it's a single-day thing, right? You go in front of them, and then they vote that day.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. And I'll tell you what, I would never vote against Allison Millington. She's a superstar and was really our secret weapon during the bid process we went through. And as you know, we didn't win that time, although I like to think we helped lay the groundwork for the ensuing successful bid. But, yeah, it's high stakes, man. I mean, it was really cool. I went in the room, and Tony Dungy and I spoke to all the assembled owners, and it's a very intimidating environment, but it was fun. And then we went up into our little caucus room and waited for the call. And we went through several votes on ours and lost by the thinnest of margins, lost by one vote. And Pete Ward from the Colts called me up and said, it's Dallas. And I was crestfallen because I'd actually drank my own Kool-Aid on this deal. I thought we were going to win. I thought we had the noses counted, and I thought we were going to win. But it's a political process, and Jerry cut some deals with some smaller market teams, and we didn't get it. But like in basketball, they talk about the ball don't lie. On a missed free throw, it actually ended up great for us because Dallas got the game in a horrific weather down there. The weather was bad here as well. If we'd had that game that year, it wouldn't have been as good as the year we did have it. So, things work out for the best. That did too. And but I will say, after the vote, to your point, I was crestfallen and went to some honky-tonk bar in Nashville and spent about 6 hours drinking beer and listening to honky-tonk music, and almost literally drowned my sorrows after that deal.
Fred, grade the football program's rebuilding, entering Kevin Wilson's fourth year, leading the Hoosiers. Where do you think the program is?
There's just no shortcuts. It's reading Barry Alvarez's book is like reading a review of the first couple of years of Kevin Wilson's tenure at IU. Kids leave the program. The coaches sometimes get a little feisty with radio personalities. It made me laugh when Barry Alvarez talked about this thing where he went off on a TV reporter, which is almost exactly like the Kevin Wilson thing with those two knuckleheads on the other radio.
They were clowns.
Yeah, well, they were. But there's just my point, I guess, is I'd like to go from 3 wins to 8 wins in 1 year, but it just doesn't happen like that unless you're cheating, unless you're building on sand, So we're trying to build it the right way. There's been progress. Do I wish the progress had been a little more quick? Sure. And last year we were one dumb play away from having a real tangible stepping stone in being a bowl team. So Kevin's built it the right way. The offense speaks for itself. We've had the challenges on defense, but I think it's going to be much improved. The recruiting classes have been strong, so we've had tangible progress in terms of wins. We've had tangible progress in terms of improved recruiting. I think we've had a lot of tangible progress on the field. We just need to put it together on both sides of the ball, and so over. That's a long way of saying I think we're on track, and I'm really optimistic about this upcoming fall.
I was here for most of Kevin's first season, and I was here for last year. And through my eyes and in his dealings with the media, I don't get to see him interact with the team very often. It seemed like he had matured in his role as the head coach. Do you agree with that?
I do. We all get better at our jobs. So, I'm a better AD now than I was, 5 years ago. And I thought I had a pretty good skill set and all that when I came in. I think I did some okay things, but I'm better now. And I'd never been an AD before. Kevin came in with a great skill set, a great experience. He'd never been a head coach before. I think he'd be the first to tell you that he's better now than he was then. But I think he's a very, very solid leader. I think he's very even-keeled. I think he's very disciplined. I think that he brings out the best in these kids. I mean, it's not an accident, you guys, that Kevin had more academic all-Big Ten kids on this team than we've ever had in the history of the program. And over the first 3 years of Kevin Wilson's tenure, we've had more academic all-Big Ten players than in any 3-year period in the history of the program. You can't compartmentalize things. The academics, the character, and the competition on the field is all tied together. And it's easier to turn around the academics and the character than it is the performance. Those things have to come first. I think that's something that happened with Tom when he got here. He had a lot of things to clean up academically and character-wise in that program. He did that almost right away. The performance came a little later, but it came along with that. And I think that's what we're building with football as well.
We'd be remiss if we didn't ask you a little bit about basketball. What are your thoughts about the previous season and what's ahead?
Well, I think, we're Indiana University basketball, so if you don't make the postseason, that by definition is a disappointing year. And, I think everybody, including Tom, would be the first in line to say that was a disappointment. But I and I'm close to it, guys, so reasonable people can disagree with me. But, it wasn't all gloom and doom. I mean, there were some bright spots this year. We beat 4 ranked teams. We've beaten more ranked teams in the last 2 years than any school in the country. We started 3 freshmen on this team more than any other school in the country. We did have the freshman of the year. Now he's moved on, but that's a problem of success to have a kid that has that kind of opportunity. You produce 3 lottery players or 3 likely lottery players in 2 years. That's a sign of a healthy program, not a dysfunctional program. We lost 5 pros last year. There's going to be some rebuilding. I love that expectations are high at Indiana, and that fans have a high expectation. I do too. But to characterize the program as in disarray or something like that, I think is just hyperbole that people say to drive eyeballs and ears sometimes. I mean, really, they talk about scout team walk-ons moving on. I mean, people just don't talk about that at other places. And so I think the concern in some quarters that somehow the program's in disarray, I just think are way, way overblown. And I'm actually very optimistic about next year. I mean, we should be talking about James Blackman Jr. coming in the backcourt with Yogi Ferrell, who could be the next Shabazz Napier. Some development with some of the other guys. I mean, Stan Robinson, Troy Williams. I'm really bullish and optimistic and excited going into next year, and look forward to talking more about that.